All right, you're ready to write your first story. And the question is, which one of these would you use? So you're writing the time. Do you write it as 8:00, 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. with periods, and the numeral 8 a.m. spelled out, 8 in the morning? How about if you're going to be identifying a 5-year-old boy? Is it a numeral 5? Is it written out 5? Do you use hyphens? How do you know? And really the fundamental question is, why should it matter? Well, the reason that it matters is that we use a specific news style when we're writing journalistically. And the goal is that we have consistency among all our writers and that readers know what to expect when they're reading our publications. This is a quote from Thomas Lippman that sort of sums up why we look at style so significantly, recognizing that the newspaper is a repository of language and we have a responsibility to treat that language with respect, and part of that comes from grammar, punctuation, capitalization, all of those rules that we have. And so the primary guide for this is called the AP Stylebook, and AP comes to us from Associated Press. So it's the world's leading wire service. It's been providing stories for dozens of years that gets disseminated. They get disseminated all over the world. But in the 1950s, they created this style book that would help us be guided by one consistent form of style that would be standardized over all the papers that used AP. It's really it's called an essential handbook for all writers and editors, but it serves for your purposes as a dictionary. It can be an encyclopedia. It works as a textbook for you, and really it's considered to be our journalistic Bible. Now, there are other style books, other styles. New York Times has its own style, but we're going to use the AP style for all the articles that we write, so we need to look at some of the rules that are going to be most important to us. So I'm going to give you a little quiz. The first question is, which way would you spell website in your story? As one word uppercased, or two words? What about this one? Where would you put the punctuation mark, the quote mark? Would it be before the question in the quote, or would it be after? What about this NBC show, the Today Show? Is it have italics? Is it quoted or underlined? And then would you use the word assure he'd make the team or ensure he'd make the team? See how you did. So website is one word, and there's actually a special section in AP Style on specifically social media. Today we have to start thinking about the style book, so we think about composition titles. That's where that would be listed. Why even try? The quotation marks would be on the outside. All of the punctuation would be contained within the quote marks. You can look up punctuation. And then I wanted to ensure he'd make the team. Ensure is actually just the proper word. Assure is actually a different word. It wouldn't fit here. And both of them are listed independently in the style book. So big things that you need to start to look up and memorize: dates, numerals, money and percents, times, addresses, titles, abbreviation. These are the things you need to learn first off as you get started in AP. And you really do need to memorize them because you're going to use them a lot. So let's just look at a few examples here. Numerals, the rule is that we spell out all numbers from 0 to 9. 10 and above are always numerals, but there are exceptions to that. So ages are always numerals, money, percents, room numbers, temperatures with the exception of 0, and weights. And you see we have the answer here to the 5-year-old boy. So 5 in this case, because it's an age, would be a numeral. It would be hyphenated because 5-year-old becomes an adjective to modify boy. Now, other style, as it comes to numerals, we don't start sentences with numerals. We'd actually spell them out unless it's a year. This is where we put a comma in the event that we have a larger number. Here's what we do with fractions. We also need to think about dates and which ones we abbreviate, and the fact that we have no yesterday or tomorrow, but we do have it today in AP Style. Dollars and cents, we actually have no percent sign in AP Style, so you'd always write out the word percent and it would always go with a numeral. So 4%, the numeral 4, the word percent. Remember that we use the dollar sign, and we actually do use the word cents. So it would be 24 with the numerals, cents if that's what the amount was, but the dollars it would be $8, as you can see here. We don't use $8 and then dollar because that would be redundant. And then times. So here's your answer here. 8 would be the numeral. In this case, it's P period, M period for in the evening. A period, M period would be for the morning. We actually do not use 12 noon or 12 to reflect midnight. We just use the terms noon and midnight. And notice we don't use a colon to separate the minutes unless there actually are minutes.